Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. Today we're talking about how to physically prep for Officer Candidate School, Marine Corps Officer Candidate School. Obviously, the Marine Corps is very, very physical and very, very exercise heavy. So it's important that for entry-level training, we focus on how to prep. And so we can go there and hopefully eliminate or at least significantly downplay one of the most pivotal or most intense aspects of OCS, which is simply by prepping accordingly. Now, I will mention, before I start on this video, I am considering building actually a 12 to 15 week program, basically be a Marine Corps OCS prep guide. If you guys are interested in that, just let me know. Like I said, I'm still on the fence about fully, releasing a full out program. If there's enough interest, I'm happy to build it and go from there in terms of releasing it. So let me know in the comment section below, or if you guys do want to see it, please hit that like button so I can get at least a rough gauge as to how many of you guys would like to see that and how many of you guys would be interested in that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So I want to focus on 5 particular subjects in terms of this physical prep video. So the first is going to be running. All right, this is going to be the most essential, and we will get in depth as to how you can get better at running for OCS. The next is pull-ups, right? Obviously, pull-ups come up on the PFT. They are very, very important for us to develop as future Marines. Next is core. Core obviously is always important regardless of what you're doing. It really helps in every single area, so it should have a high emphasis. Then we have rucking. Rucking is basically walking with a weighted pack. We'll get more into depth in this video, but you will do a lot of this at OCS, so keep that in mind. And then lastly is recovery. All right, recovery should not be neglected, should not be forgotten. It is important, especially if you're training very intensely. It's important to make sure that you are recovering properly so that you don't end up going down and losing days and days, or even weeks, for that matter, of training time. Okay, running. So the first thing we want to do is start tracking our weekly mileage. It's important to keep a running count as to how many miles per week you are running. Now, if you already are running, it's important to understand or loosely maybe guesstimate how many miles per week that you are currently doing. A lot of you guys, it's going to be under 10. From what I've heard, and a lot of you guys do ask me how you can get faster and how you can get better at running. Well, I'll tell you right now that under 10 is a very, very low number, especially in terms of prepping for OCS. So what we want to do is ultimately start increasing that mileage. Now, my recommendation to you would be start increasing that mileage by probably about 2 to 5 miles per week, every week. And from there, seeing how your body feels and allowing your body to adjust accordingly to that mileage. Again, like I said, as you do that slow ramp up in mileage. So my recommendation, like I said, increase your mileage every week by between 2 to 5 miles per week. If you start off at 5 miles per week, and that's for the entire week, we would, let's say for week 1, we do 5 miles. The next week, so let's say week 2, we could look at doing between 7 to even 10 miles a week. And then, again, same thing, increasing from there. Now, I want to first and foremost talk specifically about pace on these miles, okay? Because a lot of you guys ask me, how fast should I be running? Should I be doing speed work? Should I be doing, whatever, like a lot of interval type runs? To be honest, start off at a slow pace, okay? Ultimately, I've found, and I've gone from, hating to run a single mile to now running between 40, 50, even 60 miles a week, having completed 2 marathons and working towards an ultra marathon, currently. So when I first started, I realized that it was important for me to just simply start running. So get miles on your feet. That means that your pace should be a conversational, easy, relaxed pace. It means that you should be able to have a conversation when you're running, okay? And that really goes for all the miles in that week, all right, at least in the beginning. All right, so like I said, I would recommend that when you're running, that if you're running, and of course the first few times you go out for runs, yeah, it's gonna suck. You're gonna be out of breath. You're not going to enjoy the runs, and you probably will tire out pretty quickly. But again, slow it down. Even if it feels like you're going at a snail pace, slow it down so you can get the mileage in, and from there you will already see, just from putting miles on your feet week after week, that your run times start to go down exponentially. Like again, like I said, simply just because we're adjusting, as a whole, adjusting our bodies to running. And, right off the bat, we will start to see those kind of newbie gains, if you will, that you see in the gym when you haven't lifted for a while, and then you start lifting, all of a sudden, your max weights go up. Well, it kind of works similarly with running. So in addition to that, I want to talk about surface. Okay, so when you're running, what surface we should be running on, okay, or focusing, on. So at OCS, you're going to do a lot of trail running, okay, a lot of trail running, and you're going to be running in boots a lot. So my recommendation would be, I would suggest that you run on asphalt, for some of the mileage, but I'd also recommend and highly recommend you at least do one trail run, per week, if not more. Get mileage on trails, okay? On trails is important, and you can do that in tennis shoes or boots. But, same thing. It goes without saying that trails are really important when you are training for OCS. So please, make sure that at least some of your mileage is on trails. Now, when I say trails, like I said, go to a local park. Unpaved trails, you'll see like a lot of roots, maybe some leaves in the ground, sometimes rocks. Of course, be careful. It's important to focus on foot placement when you're running on those trails, but get the trail mileage in. Now, again, like I mentioned, you will be doing a lot of running in boots as well. So it's important from the standpoint of having the boots that you do run in boots periodically. Okay, I don't fully suggest every single run be in boots. But I would say that you want to get comfortable running in boots. So I would try to, again, shoot for at least one of your runs per week. Let's say, for example, you're doing, 2 of your runs in a given week is at a trail, or at least one. Like I said, if you're somewhere, I live in the Bronx, or I go to school in the Bronx. So obviously trail running is not very accessible for me. So I try to hit at least one trail run per week. And when I do that, I usually will wear boots. Not always, but sometimes. So just keep that in mind, that you want to vary your training with like I said, trails and boots. I would also recommend, as you get more well versed in running, as you get really a lot of experience and a lot of exposure, and you're properly recovering and your body has adjusted, you start adding weight to your runs. The reason I say this is because at OCS you will run with what's called an LBV, so it's a weighted basically vest. And when you run with that, it is important that, of course, that you're adjusted to that you're used to that, you're used to having the extra weight on your body with, during the runs, I should say. So something that you should work towards prepping for. Again, I don't recommend this until maybe 8, 9, 10 weeks into your training, though. Keep that in mind. Now, as for what I mentioned, this quote unquote ramp up, right? So it's important for you to listen to how your body feels. And I make that, well known to every single person that I give suggestions to, all right? Because some of you guys will be able to increase your mileage by 5 miles every week and feel perfectly fine. Some of you guys might do it, and quite honestly, your body might fall apart. You might feel, super tired, super worn out. There is, of course, a difference between being tired and sore and being injured. So, of course, keep that in mind, and make sure that you're willing to push through a little bit of stiffness in the beginning in order to really adjust your body accordingly. That being said, though, what I would recommend from the weekly schedule standpoint, I would recommend doing 3 weeks of ramp up followed by 1 week of what I call a pullback week. So, just to give you guys an example, if you were increasing your mileage by 5 miles every week, it would look like week 1, 5 miles, week 2, 10 miles, week 3, 15 miles, and then week 4, 10 miles. So go back down between, 2 to 5 miles in that, 4th week. So like I said, 3 weeks of ramp up followed by a 4th week, which would be your pullback. Subtract the number by between 2 to 5 miles to give your body just a little bit of rest time, a little bit of recovery time, and take the extra time that you have in that week to recover with stretching, icing, rolling, etc. Now, in terms of your end goal, right, how many miles per week should we be running as a whole, and how many times per week should we be running? These are really important, right? These are the questions you guys always ask. So I would suggest personally that you run, at least 20 to 25 miles a week. I know that seems crazy, but it's important that you get up to those numbers if you want to be as prepped as possible for OCS. Quite honestly, ideally you're in the 30 or more range, all right? So that being said, if you really hate running, that's why you have the opportunity to do, say, trail runs or, running in boots, to just give a little variety or throw a little variety into your training. But in any case, 20 to 25 miles will really put you at a really nice 3-mile pace. When you start getting to that point, then you can start also tossing in speed workouts. So let's say you go to a track and you do a track workout, meaning you do, 800-meter repeats, 400-meter repeats, mile repeats, whatever it is. That's when you can start switching it up, focusing less on quantity of miles and more on quality, once you've really developed a strong runner's base. But the key, again, from the get-go, create that runner's base so that you have it, so your body is adjusted accordingly, so that your body is ready and well-versed, like I said, as a whole, in the mechanics of running. In terms of how many weeks or how many days a week that I would run, I would suggest for you guys, I would do 5 days a week. However you want to do the breakdown, if you want to do, rest day in the beginning or middle of the week and then rest day at the end of the week, go for it. I personally do 6 days a week, but I'm very, very, experience now with running. I think I'm no pro, of course, but I do have enough experience to where 6 days a week, my body is able to handle that load. So again, another matter of personal preference, but make sure that you sketch out or etch out your schedule before the week starts so that you're not, skipping workouts here and there just because you don't feel like doing it or, life gets in the way. All right, so next is pull-ups, right? How do we do more pull-ups? How do we prep for pull-ups? Because this is an essential part of obviously the PFT, and you'll do a lot of pull-ups at OCS. So I'm actually going to leave a link in the description for the plan that I would follow that I recommend for you guys. It's called the Armstrong Pull-Up Plan. It's a very good plan. Basically what it does is it starts off every day. You'll start off every single day. I believe it's 5 days a week with right when you wake up, 3 sets of max push-ups, followed by a specific pull-up workout for that given day. So I know one of the workouts for one day is like a pull-up ladder. One of them is just like, 4 sets of between, I think, 8 to 12. There's a number of different workouts, like I said, that's included or incorporated in that plan, but I had a lot of success with that, and I know a lot of other people that did as well. A lot of you guys, if you're plateauing at certain numbers, I would definitely look at doing that. I'd also look at actually adding weight when you're doing pull-ups. That can help you with the increase in the amount of max reps, the max reps that you can hit, especially of course, and indefinitely for the pull-up portion of the PFT. All right, core workouts. Again, another thing, very, very important, very essential, but not rocket science here. What I would do is I just basically look up a 10-minute ab circuit maybe every day. Try to do that at least 5 days a week. A 10-minute ab circuit. You can just look it up on YouTube, and there's hundreds of those ab circuits or ab routines out there. Follow the plan. Maybe switch it up. Do a different one every day. Throw a little variety into your training. But if you do that, you'll have a strong core and you'll be well ahead of everybody else. I would recommend too, and this is again another personal preference thing, but I would aim for doing 5 minutes total of planks at least 5 days a week. So that doesn't mean that you do a 5-minute long plank. I want to be very clear about that. It means that you do, let's say, 5 1-minute planks or 2.5-minute planks, but do 5 minutes total of planks. I'd say at least, if you can, maybe do 10 or 15 minutes. But I would recommend that because the Marine Corps is obviously shifting away from the crunches and towards the planks. So you want to develop that mental strength, but also the muscles within your core to be able to hold the plank for that amount of time. The max time is currently 4 minutes, 20 seconds. They are decreasing the max time or the max score to 3 minutes and 45 seconds for the plank. But I believe in 2023, you won't have the option to do crunches anymore, which means that you want to start practicing planks now, okay? So again, like I said, 10-minute ab circuit routine video from, let's say, YouTube or online, whatever online resource, or actually I won't say or, I'll say 5 minutes worth of planks every day, at least 5 days a week for both. If you can do 6, hey, go for it. But I would recommend the 5 just because you want to rest your core, at least from the beginning. Once you get good at it, same thing with running, you can increase it to, let's say, 6 days a week. So lastly is rucking, right? So rucking is, like I said before, it's carrying a weighted backpack. In the Marine Corps or in the military as a whole, we call it a rucksack. I believe the military does. I know the Marine Corps does. But first thing you want to do is find a backpack, right? What I would recommend in terms of a backpack, you want to find one that has hip straps and chest straps because this will help you distribute the weight so that all the weight's not resting on your shoulders when you put 50, 60 pounds of weight in the pack. What I recommend is I'd go on some sort of camping website. I know one camping website is called REI. That's where I used to get all my camping gear. I would go on there. I'd look up a backpacking backpack. I know that sounds weird, but basically the sport is called backpacking, and it's a backpacking pack or backpacking backpack, right? I would find a cheap one that has the hip straps and that has the chest straps, and I would buy that and use it for training, okay? Now, in terms of the weight you want to put in this pack, I would load the pack up with, starting off from the get-go, about 40 pounds, right? 40 pounds is like the minimum weight that you're going to hold in your pack at OCS. You will get all the way up to, I believe, about 75 to 80 pounds of weight at OCS. So keep that in mind. You want to have you want to get a pack that's not so cheap that it's going to fall apart when you put that weight in there. And in terms of what you should actually put in there to weigh down the pack, honestly random objects work. I mean, I put rocks in mine before. I put a weighted vest in mine. Try to evenly distribute the weight, but if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. All right. Ultimately, you just want to get the weight in there so your legs and your body get used to that type of exercise, that type of training. Now, how often should you ruck? Okay, I would try to ruck at least one time per week. Keep in mind that when you're rucking, you're also on trails. Never ruck on cement. It's just not worth it, especially from the standpoint of the added impact that you are putting on your body and on your knees and your joints as a whole by putting weight on top of, like I said, walking on a tough and hard surface such as cement or asphalt. So please go to trails, to do all of your rucking if possible, or even just grass for that matter. If you have a field near you, go to a field. All right. In terms of mileage, I would start with about 1 to 2 miles a week. So meaning if you're rucking once a week, try to do 1 to 2 miles, a 1 to 2 mile ruck. I would do that for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks. Once your body starts to adjust, start ramping up the mileage. All right. You can get to, 5 to 6 even, this will take a while because you are walking, but you can even get to the 6, 7 miles, in a session, as practice. So in terms of, and I guess I'll just tell you guys this, up front, the longest ruck that you'll do is actually a 9-mile ruck. And I believe the weight on the 9-mile ruck is about 75 pounds, which means that it is important that you practice for rucking. But it's not, I wouldn't focus on it too much. As a whole, like I said, I would do it once a week. But ultimately with the running, you're going to build the leg strength necessary. So with that and a ruck, once a week, don't think that you have to do 9, 10, or 11 miles in your session. Just focus on, like I said, getting 4 to 5, maybe 6 miles max, and then varying the weight. So if 40 pounds starts to feel light, switch up to 50, go to 60. Ideally, you want to train primarily in the 60-pound range. That's really the best for you. And then again, I would work your way up, starting as you increase the weight, go down in distance and work from there. As a whole, that's important. And of course, on this, please be careful. Listen to your body as well. Ultimately, when you're rucking, especially if it's a long ruck, take breaks. All right, you can pull off to the side, sit down, sit on your pack. When you're at OCS, you will do this. You will have, we do have, times, specific times in which we take a break. It's a 5 to 10 minute break where we'll eat, rehydrate, adjust our packs, etc. This gives your legs a rest, gives you just, your mind, your body a rest. Do this. It's important. All right. And again, like I said, if you're rucking and you feel any, pain, pressure, whatever it is in your body, make sure that you listen to your body and you just, let it be from there. If you're starting to have pain in your legs or whatever it is, cut the ruck for that day. You don't have to be a hero to try to push through. At the end of the day, especially with rucking, you have to be extra careful. It's a lot of weight on your body. So don't be a hero. Listen to your body. So lastly is recovery. All right. Recovery is most important, I would say, arguably, out of all this stuff, because if you don't recover properly, you will get injured and you will miss out on a lot of training time, which will hurt you in the long term because it'll mean that you'll have a lot of days where you're sitting around doing no training, right? And if you're at OCS and you get hurt, you could risk, of course, getting kicked out. So some of the things I'd recommend: stretch before running every single time. Okay, don't be lazy. Don't let don't let stretching be the kind of thing that you start to see as unnecessary. Stretch every single time. If you have a massage gun, it's really easy to just go over your muscles real quick with the massage gun. If you have a roller, I'd recommend using the roller too. The roller will just kind of help you as a whole, loosen up as a whole, just warm up your muscles, your body. So I would recommend that before running. Same thing actually goes for after. Do this as necessary, but I would recommend just a quick stretch afterwards, especially if you have that roller. I would recommend rolling afterwards. In addition to recovery, I would always mention, like I said before, the rucking. Listen to your body. That's the important part and that's how you recover, is listening to your body and really just resting when you need it. I would ice as well. Ice is a very, very important tool, a very necessary tool. Personally, I'd recommend, if you can't handle an ice bath, I would recommend an ice bath with just your legs, or even just an ice pack on specific body parts. So primarily like ankles, bottom of your foot, knees, maybe hips. So if you get a bag of ice, put it on there, leave it on there for 5, 10, 15 minutes, take it off, cycle through. while you're just sitting around watching TV or something or doing homework, whatever it is, I would recommend doing that because the icing is so important. It will help you reduce inflammation and will help you recover so much quicker. I recommend doing this 2 times a week. That's what I try to shoot for. I would hope you guys do the same thing. So, be smart on that. And then lastly is really hydrate and sleep. I know they sound self-explanatory, but they're so important. So important. It's important that you drink enough water to keep up with all this physical activity. And of course, sleep. Sleep is essential. It's resting your body. It's recovering. It's your body's natural process of recovery. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, so that concludes the video today. Thank you, as always, for tuning into the video, to the channel. I really appreciate it. If you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. More subscribers means more people I can get the information out to. Same thing goes for likes. The more you guys like it, the more views I get, the more I can spread the information accordingly to not only people who are looking at going to OCS in the future, but even people who are just potentially considering the possibility of OCS or the Marine Corps. It is important, like I said, that I try to get that information out to as many people as possible to help them, in both preparation or even just basic informational exposure. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and without further ado, I will see you guys as always in the next video. Take care.